Welcome to Positive Energy with Crystals. My name's Hillary, and today we're going to do a book review. By the way, you're probably going to hear a mower in the background. They decided, the day that I decided to film was the day that they're going to mow. And it's kind of annoying. But anyway, when they get close again, I'll have to shut the camera down, so this video might be a little choppy. But anyway, this is a really bad glare. Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic by Cunningham. I've shown you Judy Hall's Crystal Bible. This is all the crystals I have in this book. Now I've got all 3 volumes of this. And that glare is really bad. Anyway. I've shown you Judy Hall's Crystal Bible. And a lot of you told me I needed to check out Scott Cunningham's book. The problem is I love Judy Hall's book. Now, recently I've kind of, how do I want to say this? I've kind of lost respect for a lot of Judy Hall's work. I used to think she was amazing in the crystal community and just, she had so much knowledge and everything because she had so many books and stuff. But then I realized her books are so similar. They have so much of the same information. She passed away a few years ago, and I knew there was one book that was like in the middle of being published when she passed away, but then all of a sudden there's a new book out. It's basically all the same stuff. So and I found out that most of the information in this series came from somebody else. So I am, one of you actually told me which book it is. It's a hard to find book, so I am trying to find that book. It comes up on eBay once in a while, but it's very rare. But the reason I'm showing you these books is it's good to get information from multiple sources. You know, of course, I want to give you as much information on my channel as I can and correct information and all that. But you shouldn't always believe everything, even everything that I tell you. For instance, my last video, the motivation crystals, there were a couple errors, and I caught them after it was already posted and everything. And well, one I caught in editing when I called flower agate Crazy Lace agate. But I made a mistake. I made a couple mistakes, and so you should always double check information, and I want to give you more resources to do that with. So I was a little worried about buying Scott Cunningham's book because I know a lot of his books are kind of more Wicca based, but like most of you, I have his book on magical herbs, and I love this book. I use this book a lot. I really like this, and his personal gnosis isn't really brought up much. It's, you know, mostly facts. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and buy his crystals book, and I'm glad I did. So we're going to start off with the negatives right, just to get them out of the way. The negative is, and of course, the negative is lack of pictures. And of course, what I do is I turned right to where the pictures are. So now in his magical herb book, and I know this is different because you can't do that with crystals, he's got little sketches. And I really like that in his herb book. And I know you can't really do that in crystals, but you know, there's just this middle section for the the pictures. And there's not, it's just a few pictures too. It's not all of them. Now, part of why that's a negative is I'm used to stuff like Judy Hall, who has a picture for everything, and she spent a lot of money on photography for all of her books, and her oracle deck that she has. She spent a lot of money on good photography for books and decks and stuff. And I think that's kind of why it annoys me so much that Scott's book doesn't have a lot of pictures. But it's, like you'll see in a little bit, the information kind of makes up for it. And honestly, a lot of Judy's pictures, it's not that they don't match, it's just that, how do I explain it? Like, her collection is very specialized, very, I don't know how to explain this. More like rare stuff. And so she uses like a rare form of a crystal once in a while. Okay, I don't know where I was. But, I had to stop. Like I was saying, I prefer pictures, images. And if you can't have pictures, then a really good description. And that's one thing that I don't like about Scott's book is there's no pictures and there's not a good description. So you just have to know what it is. But for everything else I'm going to show you, I really like his book. Okay. Now let's do a flip through. And I'll point out all the things I really like. So, he starts off with, some general information, and I really like the way he describes everything, and, the, basic information. I like how he explains things better than how Judy does. And I noticed that in his herb book too, that he's really good about explaining stuff that I see because I've worked with crystals so much and for so long, that I see is just basic information that I kind of just skim through. Now on the herb book, and I think that's why I'm actually reading, I've got the bookmark, reading through it, is stuff that I'm not as confident with herbs as I am crystals. So I'm focusing on that basic information more in that book. But he does a lot of, here talking about the color, which Judy does too, but I think there's more to his. And it even says other colors or multicolored. So he goes into a lot more. And then it goes into shapes. And Judy does too. But like I said, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's the way he words things to me. I don't know. And then he talks about Bina. Cleansing. Now his cleansing part is a little excessive to me, and I think this is where his Wicca part comes in. That part's a little excessive, I think. Stone divination. I am trying to do some divination stuff with crystals, and it's so confusing. But I'm working on that. That'll be a much later, way down the road video, maybe. And then working with the tarot. So he's got a lot of stuff. And jewelry. Some spell work. Okay. Now we get into the magic and lore section. So, this is where I'm going to jump ahead to my first flag. And I'm going to use amethyst as my example because, well, I like amethyst. Let's see, let me see if I can bring you down. Okay, so you can see he gives a lot of information about each crystal, from the energy, planets, what element, deities, to the magical uses. The powers. It gives a short explanation of the areas that the crystal can help. I call that their properties, but in his and a lot of other books do call it properties. He calls it powers, which it's the same thing. Then he gives ways to use it in your magical practice. Some have a long, amethyst is still. I'll knock the stand. This is still amethyst. This is still amethyst. So some of them have really long magical use. And then you get stuff like Apache tears. Which, yeah, Apache tears aren't used as much in magical use. So it's a shorter. Let's see. My dog is snoring. Can you hear that? I don't know if my microphone's picking up. Anyway, sorry. That's funny. When there are certain types of crystals that have more than one type or like more than one color, like calcite, he does the write-up for each, not the full, he kind of, it's generalized, so, like the full, this one's got a folk name. Energy, planet, element, powers, and then under magical uses, he goes into more information. So here's like clear calcite. It does have energy, receptive, planet, pink, blue, green, orange, and then also I think I marked quartz. Yeah, crystal quartz. So he does the same for quartz. Take out my bookmark so I know that I've covered that. Quartz is a big section. Oh, here. Okay. I'm going to shut the air conditioner off between the lawnmower and the air conditioner. It's why I wanted to film early, is because I knew that it was going to get warm. But then the lawnmower came. Anyway, what was I saying? Here. So, blue quartz, green quartz, Herkimer diamonds, rose quartz, rutilated quartz, smoky quartz. So it's got more to it. And Judy does that too, but she kind of does a whole section. I'm not going to show you. She'll have pictures and descriptions of the blue quartz, green quartz, all that. So, but I really like how it kind of makes it easier. Like, if let's say like you're searching for rose quartz. Normally I would probably go to look for rose quartz in its own section first. But if I don't find it there, then I know I can come here and find it. And it kind of saves time and space too, because rose quartz has a lot of same properties as just regular clear quartz. So he's not having to duplicate that information in each section, which is why I think Judy Hall her book has 3 volumes. Let's see. It also has some unique stones like this cross stone. I'd never heard of cross stone before, but it's got folk names or cross stones and fairy crosses. Elemental magic, power, elemental power, luck, and it's fascinating because I'd never heard of a cross stone, but it actually kind of sounds really cool. Now another thing, this reminds me, I kind of wish, because like hagstones, I don't think he had hagstones in here. They're found around like beaches and stuff. Well, now that I've read this section on crossstone, I want to know where to find it, and he doesn't give me that information. And I know Judy Hall gives that kind of information of where it's found in her book, and I wish I could quit referencing her book, but if we could combine this book and her book, it'd be perfect. Alright, we're back again. Batteries. I really like that he included salt. If you watched my one of my recent videos, I consider salt a crystal, and I will eventually do a salt video, but the main part of my salt video is in storage, so I can't do that yet. And that's like in major storage. That I had that before I bought the other stuff that's in storage that I keep talking about. This is like deep into storage, my salt lamp. So, but I love that he included it, and it's a pretty big write-up. It's most of this page, a full page, another full page, and then a little bit more. So I love that he included it. I don't think I have seen salt in other crystal books. And so that really makes me happy that he included salt. Next, we're going to... Why did I mark selenite? Oh, I think it was because I was surprised that selenite is such a small... It's just, this is all on selenite, which just totally blew my mind. There's so much more that he could have put. He doesn't really put much about selenite, which, okay, so that annoys me. I've noticed that, and Judy does it a lot too, crystals that are kind of their favorites or that they work with a lot get a lot of information, a lot of focus, and I guess, yeah, I kind of do that with my videos too. Like the garden quartz was just kind of a really short video, but there wasn't much to that. Selenite, even if he doesn't have a connection to it, there's a lot more information that could have gone there. Anyway, moving on. And I just noticed there's an editor's note. The following 4 stones are commonly used in magic, although Scott Cunningham didn't include them in the first edition. Photographs of these 4 stones are included in the color insert, and below is some basic information on each stone. Damberite, kyanite, vanadinite, ulixite. That surprises me. Kyanite wasn't in the main section. Anyway, so next is a section I'm really excited about, and that is the magic of metals. Metals, a lot of people I guess, don't consider them to have properties too, but they do. And I love that he included the metals. Crystals like goldstone that are man-made. It's glass with some stuff mixed in, usually copper and whatever. The reason goldstone has properties and can be used as a crystal is because it has, the sand that was used to make the glass has properties. The copper, that's the sparkly stuff in there, has properties. So, and then you mix them together, and that gives goldstone its own magical properties. So, what did I mark here? Oh, that's the next section. So, I really liked that he, here, copper. I really liked that he included the metals. And it's got a bunch of aluminum, brass, copper, gold. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. There's a lot in here. Iron, lead, lodestone. Wow, a lot of information on lodestone. Mercury, meteorite, pyrite, silver, lots of tin, steel. I like that. And then the supplemental information is just a quick summary if you're looking for something specific. Like if you're looking for a protective energy, it lists all the crystals. A receptive energy. Oh, that was a projective, not protective, sorry. Planetary rulers. Stuff where he broke up in each section for each crystal. So energy, powers. I turned to fluorite that apparently doesn't have planetary stuff. Elemental information. Oh wait, here, magical intentions. So, here's where you would look if you wanted protection. Go to protection. Now, like a lot of Judy Hall stuff, it doesn't say why, and that annoys me. He just lists them. Now, I'm sure you could go to the sections in his book and see why agate is good for protection, get more information, but it's not here, and that annoys me because there's more to. Just because a crystal is good for protection, there's more to it sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, it's good for protection. But sometimes there's more to it. And I've done a protection video, and you can see what I mean by watching that video. Like here, travel. Why is chalcedony and orange zircon good for travel? There's so much more to it. And there's so much more to... there's a lot more crystals that are good for travel than just those two. Why did he choose those two? See what I'm saying? Substitutions. So like if you don't have amazonite, you can use aventurine. I kind of like that in this book. For emerald, aquamarine, beryl, green tourmaline, and peridot can be used. Green jasper, you can replace it with jade. Now, always remember you can replace any, here. Quartz crystals can be charged with magical attributes of any stone, as can opals through your visualization. I didn't know that about opals, but I knew quartz could. And birthstones. And it lists there's a little agreement as to the correct birthstones. You see, birthstones, I have issue with birthstones only because opal is my birthstone, and for a long time I had a hard time. It was just recently that I came to terms with opal. Long story. I'll do that in an opal video. And then here's resources. He's got lots and lots of resources. And then a glossary, and then I think after the glossary is, yeah, bibliography. So I like this book. I like this book a lot. I think for a beginner, I would recommend Scott Cunningham's book over Judy Hall's. And that's saying a lot because I really like Judy's pictures. But I don't know, there's just something about Scott's, the way he lit the magical part of it and the powers. I really like how he did that. It gives enough information about crystal stones and metals at the beginning that, you know, it's kind of basic information that you can get anywhere. It gives enough of it that it's good for this book, good for a beginner. He focuses mostly on easier to find crystals too. One of the biggest complaints I have about Judy is she focuses a lot on like the fancier, harder to find, more rare stuff that not everybody's going to be able to find or use or afford. And she focuses a lot on those. And Scott's is on the cheaper, easier to find, more available types of crystals. Scott has a few in his, but I don't know, like, I don't know where to look for the cruststone. And I would like to know, I'm going to have to do more research on that one. I'd like to know kind of more about that, like where to look for that. Not so much in the stores, but like just by, and I think Judy does that, where she lists where it's found. Yeah, source, Italy for labradorite. Italy, Greenland, Finland, Russia, Canada, Scandinavia. And you can kind of tell by that it's probably easier to find. And yeah, labradorite is really easy to find. But, oh, and here, rarity, readily available. So if he had something like that, you could probably kind of tell if a croststone is going to be easy to find or not. I really like this book. I would really recommend it to especially beginners. I got mine off of Amazon. It's easy, it's to find, it's pretty affordable. So it's a really, really good beginner book. So if you're a beginner to crystals and looking for a good book, I recommend Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic by Scott Cunningham. And let me know if you've used his book, this one. I know lots of people use his herb book and love it. I want to hear more if you've used the crystal book. So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you next time.